Okay, so I talked about this. I tweeted this out earlier, and I said I'd make a video on it, and so I am. And this is why Wizards is going to shit. I mean, guys, there are certain things that you can and cannot do when it comes to Magic the Gathering lore and just basic, the basics. This is the basics. And this is in regards to the Lord of the Rings Tales of Middle-earth starter kit deck lists. Now, this is atrocious. This is not only does it break with what Magic actually is, it's this is a set. This is a box set where you buy as a starter set. It's a starter kit, meaning someone who's never played Magic before are picking up these box kits to play against one another. And it's Lord of the Rings themed. And so we're just going to read the little byline here. It says, with the Lord of the Rings Tales of Middle-earth starter kit, you and a friend can traverse Middle-earth and experience the story of the Lord of the Rings. Each starter kit comes with everything two players need to start to start epic head-to-head battles with friends. Here's the first thing. Magic the Gathering is not a game where you are putting armies against one another. Now, in certain decks, that's de facto. But even in the internal lore, you are not an army. You are a planeswalker. You are a mage. You are someone who is summoning these creatures and throwing them at your opponent. That should be obvious. But no, in this set, you are being told that Magic the Gathering is you and another person taking sides in a world conflict. No, just absolutely not. So that's the first off. This is a horrible introduction to the game because first off, it's giving the player a very, very bad impression. This is also horrendous for another reason, and we're going to look at some of the cards to explore what that reason is. Ahem. Learn how to play in person and online arena with two ready to play decks, each with one traditional foil mythic rare and four rare cards, all new to Magic, and codes to play with a friend online in MTG Arena. Again, Arena. The interactive online tutorial and included play guide booklet will teach you the basics before you immerse yourself in a thrilling strategic game that's never the same twice. And again, everything included in each Lord of the Rings starter kit is two ready-to-play 60-card decks. Gondor and Mordor. Again, Magic is not a game against two competing factions or two warring armies. This is a game where you are a planeswalker, not an army. So it goes over that has a play guide, two deck boxes, two codes to throw in arena, and it says you get to choose your own deck. Each color or color combination offers a certain style of play, each with its own personality, goals, and strategies. No. Each deck has one personality and one strategy. And the goal obviously is to win. The great thing about Magic the Gathering is choosing how you're going to win. Choose the black-red deck to join Sauron. No, bitches. If you're playing a black-red deck, the point is to be Sauron. It's not to play Sauron. That's silly. In fact, in the game, you have a Sauron card in which, in the traditional lore, you are casting Sauron. You're saying, Sauron, my bitch minion. And the Hordes of Mordor, or choose to fight for the free peoples of Middle-earth with the green-white deck. Getting everything wrong. Now, here's another problem. We're going to go over some of the cards. Lakagorn, of course, being front and center. Now, let's see here. Here's why this is. Lord of the Rings is a specialized expansion deck. It can't really be its own 3-piece set. They're gonna try. I get it. Onwards and upwards. The major mistake in making something like this a starter deck is it, it's how do you even begin? Normally what happens with these decks, with these different theme decks, things like Secret Lair, things like Unhinged, is that they have their own keywords, they have their own activated abilities, and so it's very difficult, generally, to make combos out of these cards, because some of them might contain keywords or abilities that are very, very proprietary to that particular set or setting. So, and I don't see a lot of that here, honestly. We're going to give credit where it's due. I don't see a lot of things where um, it's too proprietary or too specific uh, to what would be a more specialized set. I see a lot of food tokens, a lot of Yeah, they did well in controlling that. Rosie Cotton of South Lane. When Rosie enters the battlefield, create a food token. When you create a token, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control other than Rosie. Why on earth is Rosie? Now, for those of you who understand who Rosie is, this is Samwise Gamgee's crush. She's a barmaid. She doesn't have any special ability. She's a source of inspiration for Samwise when he gets to the Shire and has literally, this is canon, a buttload of children. That is the happy ending for Samwise, as he gets to go home and breed. But in here, we're told that she's this, frontline revolutionary, which is a crock of shit. Anyways, mushroom watchdogs. Oh yes, Farmer Maggot and his mushroom watchdogs, which I don't ever recall in canon whatsoever. Sacrifice of food? They, not a food token, it's a sacrifice of food. Okay. So hang on, Frodo. No, Frodo, right, wider. Food token and sacrifice of food. That must mean a food token, and they just fucked up on the. And that's another thing is in Magic, these kind of fuck ups matter. Like they will have to errata this and go into the gatherer and change like what the ruling understanding is, and that's what I mean. Is sometimes these sets are proprietary. Maybe food meant something else, but giving them the benefit of the doubt, they probably meant food token. However, there's one other fuck up that we have to address here, and I actually didn't catch this when the fuck up arrived, and so we're going to talk about just the general, actual decline of Magic the Gathering. We're going to talk about this card here, Feed the Swarm. And let me apparently open that up in the Gatherer because it's... Let me open you. This is something that we have to talk about. Amass Orcs 1, okay. Again, they really did kind of well with controlling the triggers and the special abilities. they didn't really go too stir crazy on. In fact, I don't see anything that's a special to this Lord of the Rings thing yet. I'm actually kind of impressed with that. But we do have to address one other thing. We're going to go to the Gatherer. Da da da. Feed the swarm. Now, some of you who don't play Magic are not going to be privy to this. But in Magic the Gathering, there are rules. Balancing rules. Rules for card creation and general making sure that everything is in its proper place. For example, um, what's a good one? Very, very rarely will red be able to counter, for example. In fact, the only counter spells that are in red are specifically against blue spells. Um, certain things that white cards can't do. And one of the power balances in Magic the Gathering is completely thrown out the window with this card. Feed the Swarm. Destroy target creature or enchantment an opponent controls. Now, we're going to stop right there because one of these power balancing rules is black cannot counter or destroy enchantments outright, ever. Ever. That has been a rule for as long as I've ever been playing Magic, and it changed. Let's go look at the sets right here. That changed in Zendikar Rising. Zendikar Rising, as far back as Zendikar Rising, we've had a sorcery, nonetheless. Not a, yeah, a sorcery that allowed a black player to destroy enchantments. That's a no-no. As long as I've been playing, one of the unspoken rules was thou shalt black shall not be able to destroy enchantments. It was just one of the staples. It was one of the unspoken do not ever do's. And yet here we see it's been allowed since Zendikar Rising. It's been allowed in Commander 2021, Midnight Hunt, Innistrad Crimson Vow, Streets of New Capenna, Commander Legends, The Brothers' War, and Lord of the Rings Tales of Middle-earth. In all of these sets, Feed the Swarm has allowed black players to do something it should not have ever been able to do. Now, it's been possible for black to counter enchantments before, but playing black, you had to accept that if your opponent played an enchantment, that your attachment to your own power and your own enchantments, to your own creatures, one of the prices you had to pay was that certain things on the board was completely off limits. And you had to find ways around this. One of the ways that we would have to work around this is making players sacrifice permanents, of which an enchantment could be one, but we could not specifically ever target an enchantment before this. And so, yeah, I'm not happy with this. This is gay. This is a big, big gay, and it, it's it just goes to show that uh, using Lord of the Rings as a starter set is not definitely not ideal. Definitely. Oh well, here's what I was talking about. Bilbo's ring. let's put in Bilbo's ring for just a second here. Bilbo's ring. And it's not in the Gatherer yet. So let's try this. No, it's not in the Gatherer yet. The set's too new. But we're gonna let's see if we can zoom in and we can read it for you. So this is somewhat what we're talking about here. Bilbo's ring on the right here. As long as it's your turn, the equipped creature has hexproof and can't be blocked. That's standard. What is not standard is equip halfling. For one, you can basically attach Bilbo's ring to a halfling. There aren't many halflings in Magic the Gathering, period. This is something that's exclusive to this set, and that's something that would make it harder for people who are starting in this game to expand from this deck and make it something their own. And that's what starter decks are for. This is why I'm a little pissed off at this, because the starter decks are supposed to be able to allow a player to pick up the deck and be able to use um, that strategy, that essence, and be able to build on it with other cards in the future. And that's why this is terrible. Like this is awful, because not only does it give you the false impression of what playing a magic deck is, as in the fact that you're a planeswalker, not a general or picking a side in a war. You're a planeswalker. You are casting Sauron. You are casting Gandalf. These are your minions, not your friends, kind of deal. The second thing is strategy. The second part is the fact that there's not a lot of wiggle room with these decks when it comes to being able to picking, pulling, adjusting, and being able to make something flourish with a particular aspect of the deck that you like. Certain things you want to decrease, other things you want to increase. Your ability to maximize with a deck that is so heavily themed in one thing in a specialty set, not a good look. They really should have known better, and I do not like that they are trying to make money in a way that is going to harm those coming into the hobby. They are they are flagrantly trying. They are lowering the quality of experience when it comes to playing Magic by introducing Magic to new players this way. This sucks. All right, guys. As always, uh, remember to go have some fun and go throw some shade. Talk to you later. Bye bye.